this is the first time for our next guest. He is a music promoter, and I want to know what our music promoter does. And when I find out, I'm going to say, you got to go through all that. I don't know if I want to do that or not, but I have heard he's damn good at what he does. Yeah. Make welcome for the first time to the show, Louie Wood Jr., everybody. Hey,
Good to see you.
Come on in there, young fella.
Are these flowers for me?
No, not this time. I'll tell you what, when you and I talked on the phone and I heard all the phone calls you have to make, the contacts you have to make, pardon me, it is a big job.
It is.
I mean,
it's not for everybody.
How did, for you to become a music promoter, how did it all start for you? There was a desire somewhere.
I started in 1991 when I was 11 years old at the Dayton Museum of Natural History. I was practically a full-time planetarium volunteer there.
Oh.
And I learned how to narrate, produce, edit in the planetarium. When you're a planetarium operator, it's kind of like being a technician almost. We had slide projectors, video projectors, sound equipment, and we had to teach science and get people interested in astronomy and provide kind of a narrative to it all at the same time. So that's where I started. And I'm a big Trekkie, big Star Trek fan, and I used to get excited when I was young about playing Star Trek music to the audience members while they were waiting for the planetarium show to start while we were collecting tickets.
Did you?
And I also got to do some of the laser shows at the museum.
Ooh, that's cool.
On the weekend, and that was fun. We did The Doors, Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin. We had an 80s alt-rock show, Pink Floyd The Wall at midnight. And we had one called The Dark Side of Oz, which was when people, and they still do, they watch The Wizard of Oz and listen to Pink Floyd's album Dark Side of the Moon at the same time. And I got to do that at 11 years old at 1 o'clock in the morning. So that was pretty fun.
The music will never die. Never
It will
die.
not.
It'll always be up to date.
Definitely.
You know?
And music today in the mainstream is very pop-oriented. And that's one of the reasons why I do local shows like this, to kind of bring rock and roll back to the streets, because it's really hard for local bands to get their friends and family out to gigs sometimes. It's really hard because people, they want to hear hits on the radio. So you really have to, not only do I have to promote the concert, I have to get the bands and musicians behind me and have my back and bring people out too, because when you're promoting local concerts, sometimes you don't have U2 on the bill.
Right.
So you have to say, you have to make everyone part of the event and treat it like an event. And not play out, if you're a local band, and not play out 7 times in the same month, and to limit and to discipline yourselves as a local band. How do we get people out to see our gig? There are ways to do it if you really try, and it's really hard out there for local bands these days, because
that's why we have all these bands here.
Yeah.
They get a DVD, and the guy said, what do you sound like? Well, here's my PC. Look at this. I'll show you what we sound like. And they're showcased here on the show. And I just love music. And I said, if I ever do a show, I'm going to have a band on every show, a different band, and they're going to play 3 songs, not just one, 3 songs throughout the show. And it pays off. Just by what you're doing.
It does. A lot of hard work, and a lot of people are afraid to promote themselves. They think if they promote themselves that people are going to say, you're desperate, you know, you need to be on a major record label. Yeah. But that's one of the reasons why we do Dayton Does Dayton, which is coming up on Friday and Saturday night of February 26th and 27th at Jilly's. And Mick Montgomery started this production, so I'm kind of the next generation. He's like the Captain Kirk, and I'm like the Captain Picard of Dayton Does Dayton, so I have the NCC 1701D instead of the NCC 1701A. So he started this show many years ago as a singer-songwriter show. It was a one-night affair, but I decided to treat this like a full-on music festival, so we have singer-songwriters to open up the show. It's 7:30 on Friday, the 26th, and 7 o'clock on Saturday at Jilly's, which is Jilly'sJazz.com.
And the date again?
February 26th and 27th.
Should we put up those pictures while you're telling
Sure,
me?
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead and put up those pictures then, Ron, while we're talking about this.
And after the singer-songwriter session, which is just as popular, we have Jilly's packed for this show before the sun even comes down. Wow. So we have 6 bands perform on each night. They do 35 to 40-minute sets. They do mostly originals, and we ask them to do their best originals. and they do a couple of covers or 3 of other Dayton bands that have influenced them. They do the big hits like the Breeders' Cannonball song, which we see on every other popular movie. They do songs from the funk scene that came out of Dayton, Ohio, like Ohio Players,
Yeah.
Lakeside, Slave. They do some of the early rap songs that came out of Dayton. And they do not only the hits that came out of Dayton and made the Billboard charts, but they also do, in the heart of it all, is they do covers of bands that are playing out right now. They do their friends' songs. And this is one of the very few events in the history of music where other bars sponsor an event at another bar at the same time.
Wow.
So I think that's very cool.
quite an achievement right there.
That's cool. And the former mayor, Ryan McClin, she's going to be hosting the show on Friday and Saturday night. So that's a big thing. And Louie's Famous Recipe Chicken and big companies that came out of Dayton like Esther Price Candies are standing behind us. Spaghetti Warehouse, where we did our photo shoot. They fed over 100 local musicians for us for free.
Wow.
And we turned Spaghetti Warehouse in Dayton into a big studio. We really did, with the customers already there and then the people that we brought. So they're one of our sponsors.
One of mine too.
So one of my favorite places to eat too. So, but it's a great thing for Dayton. It gets people out of their normal comfort zone as musicians and gets them to do something that they normally don't get to do and play a stage like Jilly's, some of them for the first time. And it's all about music in Dayton and paying tribute and paying homage to all the music and all the
Something interesting you brought up was they say to you, why don't you do it in the summer? And tell them why you said you don't want to do it in the summer.
because there's too much going on in the summer.
There you go.
So to me, and this is an indoor music festival, so and it's one of the very few 2-night affairs that Jilly's has had.
That's a nice room too.
Yeah, and this is the only show in the world where musicians spend a whole weekend in their hometown paying homage to themselves. So we do have the stand on that.
Well,
So-
I'm going to have to do an AML. Do you know what an AML is?
What's that?
I'm going to be there.
Okay, excellent.
I'm going to be there.
I'll buy
I'm
you
gonna be there.
a drink and give you a free ticket. And do
Oh, I'm
plus
not a-
2 on the guest list.
I'm not old enough to drink.
Okay. So
Thanks for telling us about this.
You're
This is
welcome.
going to be fantastic. This is
It's-
going to be, and it's February again, the date,
February 26th and 27th at Jilly's. And
starts at,
7:30 on Friday, and then Saturday the 27th, it starts at 7. And it's only a $7 ticket. You get to see 6 cherry-picked, very excellent studio-sounding bands and 5 singer-songwriters for $5. And we have places like a new cotton candy company called La Puff Candy. They're coming out and they're going to spin cotton candy
Wow.
for the audience members on both nights. Lee's Chicken is feeding the bands and more for their hard work on Friday night, and Wheat Penny Restaurant, and who owns Meadowlark as well, on Saturday night. They're going to feed the bands too for their hard work. So we got so many people doing great things. We create a program
super.
guide. The bands share equipment on stage, so people only have to wait for 10. Literally, you only have to wait for 10 minutes in between the bands, and it's all different styles. We have professors from the University of Dayton doing bluegrass. We have a rock band at the end of the night that the father, the guitar player of the band, went on tour with Jethro Tull. We've had members that have, like Jess Galo, who was on NBC's The Voice, has played Dayton Does Dayton. Jess Lamb in the past has played Dayton Does Dayton. She was on American Idol. So it's famous and non-famous musicians performing here. And the cool thing is like these photo shoots that we do, some musicians, they never have done anything like this before. They've never been on the radio. They've never been on TV. And I provide an opportunity for them to
Be a
use
great
this
experience.
format to promote themselves, and they go crazy. Like, for instance, we do an official poster for the event, but there's like 40 or 50 posters flying around out there.
Yeah.
And it's fun to see how, when they're excited as much as they are, that makes me even more excited.
okay.
So
Tell me the date one more time.
it's February 26th and 27th at Jilly's
26 and 27.
on Jefferson Street, across from the Neon Movies.
Great
And there's free
place.
parking.
Nice room.
Great
Very
room.
nice.
And has a lot of history there. We're talking about history
Yeah.
here early. Dayton has a lot of history. And we've had famous musicians play this event. We've had Kelly Deal from The Breeders play this event. We've had members of Ohio Players play at this event. And it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. We get more sponsors
Well,
involved.
yeah, but it's all because of you two.
Well, no, it's the
Thanks.
musicians, though,
Thanks for
really.
coming.
And thank
Well,
you.
thanks for coming.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
26th and 27th, they get it right? February 26th and 27th.
Friday and Saturday
Friday
night.
and Saturday night, all
Yep.
right.